Oh, hello. Oh, are you helping me today? Fine. Sit over there. Hello YouTube, today we are talking about what is inside my wedding gear bag. Alright, I am Ben Lucas, and today we are talking about what is inside the wedding gear bag. So I shoot a lot of different things. I shoot portraits, I shoot headshots, I shoot cosplay, I shoot boudoir, I shoot commercial stuff. I did a Star Wars pinup calendar. Still some of those available, link in the description. But today we're going to talk about the gear that I use when I'm shooting a wedding. I use a 5D Mark III. I love this camera. It's got great low light, excellent autofocus, really quick frames per second. It's not necessarily the best at any of those one particular items, but it does all of those really, really well. So this is an ideal wedding photographer's camera. Honestly, I don't care what newer cameras are on the market, because there's only so much that the camera can do for you. Attached to this, I've got a 70-200. This is an absolute must for any wedding shooter. Definitely get your 70-200. All of these images were shot with the lenses that I am going to be referencing. In this case, these are all 70-200. Honestly, this guy right here, you can shoot 90% of a wedding with. It is your best friend. I bring a second camera. This one has got a Tamron 28-75. I picked up this lens for really cheap, and I'm impressed for how sharp it is. Honestly, I normally just carry this around when I'm shooting something that is completely unimportant and I don't want to have a whole bag worth of lenses. But this is actually really good in the beginning, kind of getting ready portion of the day when you're in a really cramped quarters, but you still need to get those wide and tight shots where a 20 you're going to miss stuff or a 50 you're going to miss stuff. This can cover both. I'm really happy with this lens choice, and of course, having a second camera body is an absolute must for any wedding photographer. Next, I've got my 100mm macro. This is a one-trick pony, as it were. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do with it, but for me, I use it for the ring shots. Now, I do one hell of a good ring shot, but after that, this pretty much just hangs out in my bag unless there's any other details later on in the day that I'm going to need it for. Next, I've got my 20mm. I love primes. They're small, they're fast, they're not imposing, they're really sharp. So this 20, this gets me these big, beautiful landscape images. You can get the type of thing behind me here with a wide-angle lens. That particular one was actually shot with a panoramic, but that is a story for a different day. Give this video a like if you want to hear the story about the photo right behind me. I really love this lens. You can create some really scenic landscape photos. You can get the architecture or the venue that they're in. This is a great lens for getting a wide shot. Next, we have everyone's favorite Nifty 50. I got the 1.4 because honestly, I don't want to spend $2,000 or however much the 1.2 is, and the 1.8 just it feels like a toy. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't focus very quickly. The images aren't that sharp. This is so much better. It's the best, what is it, $200, $300 that you'll ever spend. Also for this lens, I got a rubber lens hood because I like being able to just pop it in and out. You don't have to unscrew it, flip it around, screw it back on. The other thing too is when I'm shooting something, I can block the lens flare or the sun flare, but if I want to let just a little bit of it in, I can go like this and just let in a little bit of that flare to the images. And you can get some really cool images with some natural flare that way. Next is my personal favorite, the 85. So I got the 85 1.8 again because $350 felt a lot nicer than $2,000. That's a couple of plane tickets to Italy right there. But again, I got that rubber lens hood because I love being able to just collapse this and pull this out in my bag, and you have that adjustability. But the 85 is absolutely my favorite portrait lens, and you can do some really cool shots with this inside a venue if you're shooting full length as well. I would almost be willing to give up my 70-200 just to be able to shoot with this. Again, that 200mm reach is hard to contend with when you're shooting events, but for portraits, absolutely love the 85mm. So let's talk flashes. If you guys saw my Amazon Speedlight review, which you can see a link to in the description, you will see that instead of the Amazon light, I actually favor the Yongnuo 660. So the things that I love about these lights is that you can trigger them independently. So you don't need fancy triggers, even though these both have Velcro for my fancy triggers. I use them in tandem with my studio strobes, but out on a wedding, they can trigger just with themselves. The one thing that they cannot do is second curtain flash or rear sync flash. So for that, I still have my older 430EX2. This is very small, lightweight, cheap, and I use this exclusively for those end-of-the-night dance shots where I need that rear curtain sync. Also, for lights, I use these little pen lights. These happen to be camo because that's what was on sale at Amazon that day. But these pen lights are crazy bright. They have magnets in the bottom, so you can just stick these to tables or walls or window frames, or I stuck it to the side of a pinball machine. And then you can use these lights to light up your ring shot, and you can get some really cool, intricate things. Of course, I have a pouch of batteries, so I use this Think Tank battery pouch, and all of my batteries have this orange stripe on them. The orange stripe is actually to differentiate when I'm doing either commercial shoots or group shoots, so I can always know this battery is mine, and hopefully the other photographers are either unmarked or use a different color. I also have this memory card wallet. So this memory card wallet holds all of my CF cards. It can also hold SD cards, and I've got a micro SD card in there for when I use my GoPro. But yep, this memory card wallet, it straps to me, so these memory cards never get left behind on site. It's really, really important that you don't lose your client's images. I have been the second shooter for a photographer who did indeed leave it. He was using all these small SD cards, and he actually left the SD card on site, and when he went back, he couldn't find it, so he lost his client's images. So actually having that strapped to my person at all times, super important. Of course, I've got some little battery cases. This thin, flat one actually goes into my speed belt, so this stays on me. And then I've got one that holds significantly more, and this will usually stay in my backpack, which is hanging out either in the getting ready room or at the reception. I use an X-Rite color checker because even though I know that when I'm shooting with flash, it's going to be flash balanced. If I'm inside, it's usually tungsten balanced. You never know when you're going to end up in a really weird lighting situation, and you absolutely must get color accurate. You have to get the skin tones right. You have to get the dress color right. You can't always click on the dress to get your white balance, because if it's too bright, Camera Raw will not read it and will not adjust the balance. But also sometimes not everyone's dress is perfectly white. If it's a little bit more of an ivory, you're going to get an incorrect balance, and in that case, it's going to make everyone look very blue and pale and like an extra on a Sopranos that's been on a meat hook a little too long, not like it's the happiest day of their life. So color accuracy, super important. I will usually pull this out all the time whenever I'm in a new lighting situation. I will take one shot at the front of the altar. I will take one shot at the back of the room. I will take one shot in the front row, because the lighting on Grandma and Grandpa, when they start shedding that single tear, is going to be different than the couple at the front of the room. So I will cover all of my bases before it happens with the color checker, and then I will sync that color checker to all of the shots that were taken later in that location. So by starting your day with the color checker, it saves you a whole world of pain, especially when the getting ready room has fluorescent lights, a tungsten lamp, a daylight window, and you're bouncing flash off like a yellow or brown wall. This will save your life. Finally, everyone should have what I call a MacGyver bag. So this is everything that you need to save your life in an emergency situation. So I've got a duster for my lenses. I've got a blower in case I'm switching out and something happens. So I've got all my cleaning supplies, cleaning cloth, lens spray. I've got clamps. You honestly never know. I've got safety pins. Let's see. Yep, they're the safety pins. And every single year I buy a box of safety pins and I stock that up because the grooms one will break for the boutonnieres, or a cuff will be too long, or the bride's veil got ripped. You never know when a safety pin comes in handy, and you are the lifesaver on the day when someone shouts, does anyone have a safety pin? And you say, yep, here you go. So I've got a remote for if they want to do a sparkler shot. I have colored gels for the speed lights. This is a Roscoe Strobist collection pack that's got every color under the sun. It was really cheap. I've got a lens pen. You can never keep too clean with your lenses. Black and white electrical tape. You never know. I've got some Velcro ties. If you want to see the other things that I keep in my wedding bag, there's a link to that video in the description. And finally, this is not a piece of camera gear, but it is something that I bring with me to every wedding. So I really want to do a good job with the ring shots. You can put them in a flower, you can put them on, some wood if it's a more rustic thing. But what if you're looking around and there is literally nothing for you to put the ring next to? If there's no details, or, the bride doesn't want you in there when you're getting ready and you still have to do these ring shots, sometimes you just need to have an ace in your back pocket. So I picked up these two high-quality glitter pages. So that one is gold, and this one is silver. So the high-quality glitter will not flake off when you touch it. So that is really important. So one, you're not spreading glitter all around the wedding, and two, this doesn't get all over your camera gear. But I have this folder of my glitter paper that you can use in a pinch when you're doing your ring shots. So that is what's in my camera bag when I'm shooting a wedding. I'm Ben Lucas. If you found this video interesting and useful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for future videos and tutorials. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Hi, you just really want to help me today. You're so helpful. Thank you.